William Kyle Carpenter, Medal of Honor citation. Let's talk about where he started out from. He was born out in Mississippi. Then he grew up several places around the country, but he graduated from South Carolina. He was a man of honor and got a little bit more serious about doing things to be able to help society as a whole when he took a trip to the Dominican Republic. That was a life changing moment for him. He saw how they were living in the areas that he went and decided, hey, I want to dedicate my life to being able to serving others. And he was really impressed with the Marine Corps and decided to join the Marine Corps. He at 19, he joined the Ready Reserves and signed up with the Marine Corps. And what he did was absolutely amazing. And what he went through. Basically, to try to keep it short, he went through a combat situation, saw a grenade thrown while he was wearing a flak jacket, which was able to minimize some of the damage. He jumped on the grenade to be able to save his buddy to make sure that he didn't get killed, because that would have been a certain death for his buddy. And that caused an immense amount of damage to him. He had shrapnel all over the body. He actually had one of his eyes pop out when he was doing this. One of his arms was like jello because there were so many broken bones in there. I think he had like 36 broken bones. And they were doing everything they could to be able to save his life. In several instances, they did not think he was going to survive. But they did manage to be able to pull him through. Luckily, he did not receive it posthumously. But he was pulled in, I think it was to Germany, before he came back to the United States. And the main thing they were worried about was keeping him alive, doing everything they could. When he came back to the States, his mother in particular thought that she was being called there to be able to identify his body. And turns out he was still alive, but his face was so swollen up and cut apart that his mother couldn't even recognize him. The only reason she knew it was him was because they told him it was him. And she did not put much weight in him being able to survive. She worked in an emergency room, and she had not seen any cases that looked this bad. She was totally amazed at how bad he looked and not being able to tell who he was, the swelling, the blood, this, that, and the other. But she stuck with him and made sure to do everything that she could for Kyle, or for William, and be able to make sure. I think he goes by Kyle, but his first name is William. And it's totally amazing how much effort he had to go through as far as physical therapy. They put him under for a while to be able to help avoid the pain. And they had to go through multiple surgeries just to be able to get him to walk again. Now, his mother was real scared that he was going to lose his arm. And this is, no, we were going to find a way to save the arm, which is pretty impressive considering how many broken bones that he had in it and the compression that caused the damage in his arms. So when he was at Walter Reed, they did everything possible to be able to keep him alive, keep him going, and make certain that he had the quality of life that he potentially could. And it took about 3 years for this recovery to take place, for him to be able to go through that much pain, go through that much suffering. But he was willing to be able to go above and beyond to make certain that he was saving other Marines' lives and doing what he could to be able to, even if that meant sacrificing himself. One of the things that he did that was pretty amazing to me is he had to have a glass eye. And I just find this pretty amazing that he actually asked to be able to have the Purple Heart put in his eye. And they originally told him that was not possible, but they ended up eventually doing that for him. And that's a pretty basic statement. Now, later on in life, he went back to the regular glass eye because he got past that part of his life. But let's go ahead and read what his citation says. For conspicuous gallantry and intrepidity at the risk of his life, above and beyond the call of duty, while serving as an automatic rifleman with Company F, 2D Battalion, 9th Marine Regiment, Combat Team 1, 1st Marine Division, Forward, Marine Expeditionary Force, Forward, in Helmand Province, Afghanistan, in support of Operation Enduring Freedom on 21st November 2010. Lance Corporal Carpenter was a member of a platoon-sized coalition force comprised of 2 reinforced Marine squads, partnered with an Afghan National Army squad. The platoon established patrol-based Dakota 2 days earlier in a small village in the Mara district in order to disrupt enemy activity and provide security for the local Afghan population. Lance Corporal Carpenter and a fellow Marine were manning a rooftop security position on the perimeter of the patrol base, Dakota, when the enemy initiated daylight attack with hand grenades, one of which landed inside the sandbag position. Without hesitation and with complete disregard for his own safety, Lance Corporal Carpenter moved toward the grenade in an attempt to shield his fellow Marine from a deadly blast. When the grenade detonated, his body absorbed the brunt of the blast, severely wounding him, but saving the life of his fellow Marine. By his undaunted courage, bold fighting spirit, and unwavering devotion in the face of almost certain death, Lance Corporal Carpenter reflected great credit upon himself and upheld the highest transition of the Marine Corps in the United States Naval Services. That is just absolutely amazing that you have somebody who is willing to do that. That meant almost certain death. He thought he was going to die himself. I am more than certain. And right here is just a couple pictures to be able to show what he was. Right there is a picture that shows what it looked like when he had the Purple Heart in his eye. Let's see if I can go to the next one. Right there, he has a normal, I'm not sure. That looks like the normal eye right there. But they did a massive amount of surgery on him to get him back to normal again. And it was absolutely amazing. And I'm going to go to this video here. Just let that take over and explain a little bit about the award ceremony that went through. Okay, I had the volume turned down. But here we go.
I was born in Jackson, Mississippi. I have 2 younger brothers. My family's amazing. They're very supportive, and I've been very fortunate to have just an amazing support system. I played football all growing up. I really worked hard. That transitioned into middle school and then eventually high school football. Later on in high school, I decided that I wanted to join the military. I wanted to serve a purpose bigger than myself. I didn't want to wake up one day and regret not serving when I had the opportunity. I was with 2nd Battalion, 9th Marines out of Kent, North Carolina. I was aware in 2009 when I joined of what's at stake. I did know we were in a time of 2 wars, but my mindset was there's absolutely nothing that is going to stop me from becoming a Marine and serving my country. We worked very, very hard, and we got not only physically ready, but mentally ready. And we deployed late July of 2010 to Marj, Afghanistan in Helmand Province. It was very hot, very rugged, tough terrain to not only navigate but to operate in. Flooded farmlands, flooded fields, wading through sewage canals to avoid IEDs. It was a difficult deployment. There was a lot of fighting every single day, sun up to sundown. My platoon got tasked with pushing south into another village so we could start setting up a new patrol base to operate out of. This was one of the last enemy strongholds of our area of operation. We pushed down and we took over the new patrol base, and very shortly after we had moved in came the first grenade attack. And we had 2 Marines and an Afghan National Army member get injured in that. We had never seen grenades from close range up until that point in our deployment.
On November 21st, 2010, the day following the grenade attack, Lance Corporal Kyle Carpenter and fellow Marine Nick Eufrazio were posted to a rooftop security position on the perimeter of the village. With sandbags in short supply, the two had little cover as they occupied a low-lying bunker.
I remember us going over the scenarios if a grenade was thrown up there, or if we started taking fire from this direction, how would we react? Nick Eufrazio is an amazing Marine, and I credit him with just saving so many lives while we were over there. Nick was always the one up front, and he was very aware of our surroundings, and I never went on a patrol without him, and he never went on a patrol without me.
Even as the 2 Marines continued to watch over the area, the enemy drew closer. A grenade was lofted onto the rooftop, landing near Carpenter and Eufrazio. The trauma from the blast erased his immediate memories of the event, but forensic review of the explosion revealed that Carpenter covered the grenade, absorbing the blast with the right side of his body. Nick Eufrazio suffered injuries, but survived the attack.
After the grenade and the explosion had happened, I remember trying to push myself up and I guess shake it off, and I couldn't feel either one of my arms. The next thing I thought of was my family and how devastated they were going to be that I was not going to survive and make it home from Afghanistan. And then I went unconscious. After I was injured, my fellow Marines and my Navy corpsman that was there with me did an amazing job to get to me as quickly as they could on the roof, and they fought very hard to keep me alive for that medical evacuation helicopter to arrive. As I was going unconscious, I kept telling them, I'm gonna die, I'm gonna die, and they just kept getting on my nerves and coming back with, you're gonna make it, you're gonna survive. When I arrived at the first Combat Trauma Roll 3 hospital, I was labeled PEA, which is patient expired on arrival. I had to be resuscitated multiple times. I arrived at Walter Reed November 28, 2010, and I spent almost 3 years there. My eyes, I lost my right. I had penetrating shrapnel that had to be removed from my brain. The majority of my teeth were blown out from the blast. I had lacerations to 3 of the arteries in my neck. I had 30 fractures in my right arm. They were going to amputate, but they thought that they might be able to save it. An amazing doctor, Dr. Newman, saved my arm and did a great job, like all the doctors at Walter Reed. It took me roughly 5 weeks to wake up and to start regaining consciousness. First thing that I really remember was that my mom had decorated my room in the holiday spirit, and I remember opening my eye and seeing a Christmas stocking on my hospital room wall. First and foremost, I tried to stay strong and motivated for my family. I set little goals for myself. I first wanted to sit up in the bed for, say, 10 minutes, and then 20 minutes. I just had an amazing medical team behind me, and they really helped me to get to where I am today. Fast forward a few years and about 40 surgeries and a lot of therapy later, and I ran my first marathon. I think you just feel a better sense of yourself that you really push through something and you face adversity and have a perspective and an appreciation for life that sometimes can only be obtained through very difficult or trying, hard circumstances. I officially got the phone call in February of 2014. My mom was all worked up and nervous because I said I was going to put it on speakerphone so they could hear it. Mom didn't know the requirements or the rules or regulations on putting the President of the United States on speakerphone.
It's my pleasure to let you know that, based on the recommendation of the Secretary of the Navy and Secretary of Defense, I've approved the award of the Medal of Honor to you for your courageous actions in Afghanistan.
Hand grenades are one of the most awful weapons of war. But we are here because this man faced down that terrible explosive power, that unforgiving force, with his own body to protect a fellow Marine.
I know that if 100 Marines were put in that position, they would have done the same thing for me. I saw altruistic sacrifice from my fellow Marines every single day for 4 months.
Kyle, you not only saved your brother in arms, you displayed a heroism in the blink of an eye that will inspire for generations.
It's a difficult medal to wear because of what comes with it. It represents our country, our history, those that have given life and limb. The medal represents sacrifice, not only from a military perspective, but in civilian life. From the smallest to the biggest thing, we're all presented with opportunities, and whether you're in the military or right here on the streets of Columbia, South Carolina as a civilian, everybody should serve. Without service and sacrifice, we would not have the nation we do today.
And right there is the video explaining what he did. Now, I did a lot of research on this, and there's no way that I can cover everything that I learned. So I'm just going to show you some of the different areas that I went to. One I went to was Wikipedia, which tell a little bit about his background. Right here is the Veteran Project, which I really liked. You can see several of the videos, or pictures, I'm sorry, of him both before and after. And the surgeries that they were able to do to be able to get him together where he was looking like a normal person is pretty amazing what they were able to do. And of course, he wears a beard now to be able to cover up a lot of the scars and a lot of the damage. In a lot of areas, he does look sort of thin, but in other areas, he looks real well, and like he's taking care of himself, just somebody you would see on a normal everyday basis. But this is one of the areas that I have. Right here is a picture of him more of a current time, where he is doing vlogs, or he does a lot of public speaking. He's written a couple books with other people. They made a movie about his amazing actions, but it just shows pictures of him after the transition and how he's getting by now, and I think that's pretty amazing. As I said, there is so much information here that there's no way I could be able to cover the amazing accomplishments that were done. He did end up going back to college and ended up getting his degree. And as far as sports go, he keeps part of his life. He's a very big Gamecock fan. I have to wonder what he thinks about the things that's going on right now with the Gamecocks and their head coach. But it's definitely interesting seeing what happens. But just a lot of pictures of him and showing that now he is doing pretty good, making the most out of his life. Not only is he making the most out of his life, but he's doing what he can to be able to help other people. He is very, very active in charitable organizations for soldiers, like the Gary Sinise Foundation is one that I know he is real big on. And he is real big on trying to make sure that he helps as many veterans that were put in bad situations and may not be able to take care of himself. Because a lot of the veterans out there did sacrifice a lot, but did not have the support that he had, especially coming back from certain combat situations. And what he did. But it's pretty amazing taking a look at some of the stuff. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to click onto some of the other areas I did for research. Like right here's the Business Insider. I mentioned before that he had the Purple Heart that was put in his eye for one of his glass eyes. And that's actually pretty amazing they were able to do that for him. They originally said, no, we can't do that. But I thought that was a good picture of him and showing the glass eye and what it'll look like afterwards. Right here it is talking about a future destroyers to be able to be named in his honor, which is pretty amazing as well. But what he did was amazing, and it's pretty good that the Navy is doing what they can to be able to show the support for them. Right here is a great source that I was able to find out a lot of information. They had a lot of articles on it, and when you go back and you do some research yourself on some of these, the War Horse is a great place to be able to discuss what happens. You can see, as he talked about before, he has a lot of support from his family and sticking with him. Right there is a little bit better picture of the Purple Heart that was in his eye, that he had in his glass eye. Right there it shows the tattoos that he got, and it just shows the damage to his arm, which is absolutely amazing that you're able to save that when you take a look at that damage. And right there shows a little bit there of the other parts. But he made a sacrifice where he was willing to be able to help other people. Here is something that I want to mention that is big to me. I actually didn't read this, but it's showing a picture of a dog, which I'm sure has something to do with his life. And I will tell you that dogs a lot of times have a lot to be able to do to help veterans. What the medical team did to be able to help him is above and beyond. It's simply amazing. And the fact that he does not seem to be upset, he seems to be happy he was able to do everything. And he told his mom the thing about when she was asking why him, and he says, why not me? It wasn't me, it'd be somebody else's son. And that's a pretty big commitment with that. But I just want to say that what he did was very impressive to me. And there is just a picture of him that showed up when afterwards with the bald head and the eye and still in the recovery phases where they weren't able to do all the research yet. But the amount of research on him is simply amazing, which I'm glad to hear. And you have to go a lot of places to be able to take a look at what he did. But I just want to say that I am very proud of this man, what he has done, the sacrifices he's made, and it's an honor to be able to have somebody like this be able to receive the Medal of Honor citation and not be upset about the sacrifices he had to make, but be glad he was able to make them and still being able to give after he gave up so much, and being able to be parts of movies, be parts of books, be able to do podcasts, and do speaking engagements. But with that right there, I want to thank you for watching this. This is Chris Williams with Adventuring Wheels Up. I do want to ask you to please like this, please subscribe, please share this, and please show the honor and commitment to all the veterans that were willing to be able to give so much up. Because the thing about a veteran, whether they went to war or whether they did not, is they sign a contract that they were willing to be able to give up everything, including their life and their families, in order to support this great nation. And that commitment means a lot to me, and it's something to think about with every veteran that you think and every veteran that you meet. And you also have to think about the sacrifices the families make as well. Let's think what his poor mother went through trying to get things together. But thank you very much. I appreciate you for taking the time to listen to this. Make sure to have a great day, and make sure to support your veterans.